And I was kind of like the woo-woo girl.
I don't know how to say it. Like,
your eyes just became Kundalini.
Like,
you were like, they just are attracted to you and want to be around you. They want to start telling you all their secrets. They want to be your friend.
I started crying. I started screaming.
You were really connecting with the frequency and spirit of your mom.
I attracted the perfect man, marriage. I was attracting like my dream company. How many people get that and then they're scared to lose it again? Mm-hmm. So
they can't hold it.
They can't hold it.
You were like channeling codes, writing code.
I was having a suicide attempt and I was in coma for 3 days. The doctor said, yeah, she will not survive. Life had another plan.
Especially as powerful women, we have a lot of energy, a lot. Don't dance like nobody's watching. I'm like, dance like everybody's watching.
Oh, I love that. She was like, aren't you pregnant?
We kind of got into goddess mode and I just kept going with it. I was like, okay.
In this life, I don't allow anyone to put my light down and I will walk away from everyone who cannot hold my light. No one. I don't care who you are.
But you're connecting with this part of yourself where you already know. Kundalini is sublimated life force and sexual energy that lives at the base of the spine. What's best for you is what's best for everyone.
That's the point. Everyone now is happier.
Lebst du schon, wer du wirklich bist? Willkommen zu The True Me Podcast. Wir sprechen hier über alles, was dich aus dem Gefühl der Überforderung und des Feststeckens zu einer klaren Vision und Aligned Action bringt. Mein Name ist Tiffany und ich begleite dich auf deiner Reise zu deinem True Me, denn dort wartet Freiheit, Leichtigkeit und Erfüllung auf dich.
Hello, my loves, and welcome to a new episode of the True Me podcast. And it's actually my first one in English, so please be kind with me. I will see how that goes, but I have an English guest today, and I needed to bring her on my podcast. And she's not German speaking, so there was no other option than speaking English today. I think this will be a podcast that will, just by listening to it, even if you wouldn't listen to the words, you will feel activated. This is a very strong, energetic podcast. You will know why. I met this woman, really met her about 2 weeks ago, and she already changed my life. She's from Chicago, and she worked at the hedge fund. I hope I said that right. And now she's working with Kundalini, lives here in Bali, and helps people, especially women, to activate their Kundalini, to get back into their life force, to get back to themselves. She activated another level of goddess in me, I would say. And that's just a little trailer into all of it. We will talk about maybe a lot of things that some of you will maybe think it's weird. Maybe some of you will be like, but that's why we're here. We want to expand how you think, how you feel, and what is possible in this life. So welcome, Isabelle, to the True Me podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me and having me, Tiffany. It's an honor to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. Isabelle, it's so hard to explain who you are and what you do. So maybe we start with how would you introduce yourself to someone if you could only explain it in an energy?
I've changed how I introduce myself and what I do, because I feel like there's just not a word to describe. And I think we always want to put labels on what we do and who we are and what our job is. But I think we're moving into a world where it's we're ourselves and we are living our lives and and attracting abundance in this way and just living our truth just the way you do with your community and your podcast. And we talk about this all the time now. But I guess to put it simply, I say that I'm an energy worker. So I work with energy. I'm also a student of Kundalini science. I'm a student of energetics. I'm a student of quantum physics, metaphysics, spirituality. And that's the truth. That's how I spend my days.
Maybe to get to know your journey and that we come to Kundalini, maybe we go back like a few years. How did your life look like 5 years ago or 4 years ago?
Oh my gosh. It was, how did your life look 5 years ago? Probably completely different.
It did.
This has been such a journey since COVID to now, really. So 5 years ago, I was just beginning my career in human resources at one of the world's top hedge funds based in Chicago, and then also splitting my time from Chicago to New York. So I was a young professional living the city life and really climbing the corporate ladder. I loved my job. I loved the company. But something began shifting within me where I just realized that I didn't want to do this forever. I wanted to get into this corporate world, corporate America. And the company I was at was like the most corporate kind of militant structure you can imagine. But I always knew that I wanted to learn the lessons and I wanted to understand kind of like the psyche, the behavior, the patterns of these people. And I got a bit too, I say I drank the Kool-Aid a bit too much, and I got really into it and was hyper like career woman. And that's how I spent my days until I decided one day to make a move, make a jump, and I found myself in Bali.
How was the first time? Because I think it's always a process, right? You don't wake up one morning and say, oh, now I don't like my life, tomorrow I'm moving, right? It's a process. So how did you handle the first things coming up where you're like questioning things, where you're like, do I want this? And all the fears connected with it, right? I worked for this so hard. For other people, this is the perfect life. Other ones wish they would be in my shoes. I have so many options and opportunities. I should be thankful. I should not want maybe something else. So how was your process that you start allowing yourself to live your truth?
Yeah. I think for me, I've always really followed my intuition, and I've always just known. It doesn't mean it was easy, but when I knew that it was time to leave that company, it did take a lot of conversations with myself and kind of soul searching, and it took, I think it just took a lot of conversations with myself to give myself that courage to leave. But once I knew I had to, I just did. And I was like, I can't ignore this anymore. I'm so unhappy. What's the point? And
what's the point?
What's the point? Like, I'm unhappy and I know that I'm meant for more.
Was there something coming into your life that made you realize there is more, or this is maybe not even more, but more for me? Because I think also corporate or like a normal life is really, there's a lot of negativity in it, but I think a lot of people are also happy in that, and maybe they're not made for other things. And also you said, hey, in the beginning I was happy, and I'm also happy I worked in the corporate world. We talked about that. We talked about that a few days ago about being professional, and I think being professional in the spiritual world and knowing how maybe companies work is such a gift, because there are a lot of spiritual people where it's hard to work with them because they're not professional. You cannot say, okay, we do this, we do that, right?
It's so frustrating sometimes.
And we cannot, right? So it was a blessing.
We try to be patient.
Yeah, so it was a blessing to do that, I think. But what was there something changing it? Like, did you read something? Did you hear something? Was it just the inner voice? Why did that start?
One thing that I'll say is, you mentioned how, we're grateful for our time in corporate. One thing I want to mention is that I reframed this story recently, and I'm so glad I did, because I used to be in a story of like, I was so burned out and I was miserable and I fried my adrenals and I had all this pressure. And then I realized during the time, I loved it. I loved everything I was doing and everything I was learning. And it was all these lessons. And it was like, I view it as this training. Like I say, that was my political training. And I say political because the company I was at, there were a lot of politics, but it's just a microcosm of sort of how things work in the real world, but just at a smaller level in a company. So I reframed it, and I'm just grateful for that whole experience. But in terms of what made me make the shift is, I remember one day thinking like, okay, we can all do whatever we want in life. I know this is true. I know I can do whatever I want. And I was successful in my career at the time, so that I think helped me build like self-confidence. And which is why it's important to, work hard and be the best at what you do. So it shows you that you can do like whatever you put your mind to. And so I just looked around at these gray walls and I thought, if I can really do whatever I want to do, it's definitely not this. I thought, I'm way too young and vibrant and like curious and expansive to only be in an office. And going back to the office after COVID, that's really what did it for me. It really didn't sit right with my soul. When I realized that we could all work from home and travel and work and make money. So
And how was the transition? I imagine now, you were in the hedge fund, having a good salary, living in Chicago, like having your flat, having everything.
Everything, like girls' dinners, shopping.
The perfect life, you know. So, and then you decided to go to Bali, but I think back then you didn't even know you want to do Kundalini. It was not like you're a Kundalini expert doing that on the side since 5 years. It was like, let us in there. Like, was there, I'm going to Bali, I have no plan, or what was going on?
So what happened was, when I was leaving Citadel, which was the name of my company, I knew that I would get a 1 year off non-compete agreement, because I signed an agreement with a competing company. And so during a conversation with my manager at the time, she said she was trying to get me to stay, and I was like, it's not right for me. And literally this was like the universe coming in. And she said to me, well, if you want to just have a year off and go live and surf in Bali, you can. And it was like, ding. And that was how I knew that during my year off of traveling, because I wasn't allowed to work in the industry for that year, that I would go to Bali. So everything aligned itself. That's how I came here. And I didn't know about Kundalini. I had done Reiki on the side during my time at the company, because it was demanding and I was exhausted, and I was searching for something else, because the doctors couldn't help me. They were just putting me on medication. My fatigue wouldn't go away. I was constantly stressed. And I had heard about Reiki from my mom, so I just Googled and tried it. So I was familiar with energy work, and I was kind of like the woo-woo girl on my team, telling everyone about Reiki and spirituality. But I didn't know Kundalini until, of course, in Bali. You know how it goes, Tiffany. It just finds you
so fast in Bali. Like it just gets to you. Okay, and then you came here, and how did you find your way to Kundalini, and what was your first experience? Afterwards, we're coming to Kundalini. We'll also speak about my experiences. I had now 2 sessions. We also filmed one of them totally for you, so you will see everything. We will put it in the podcast. I will show how I scream, I cry, everything, so be prepared. But how was it for you?
My first session, I went because, again, it was just synchronistic. A friend from the gym said, hey, do you want to go to this class with me? And I said, sure, I'm open to anything. And there's a lot of screaming in the room. And it was interesting, but I immediately felt the shift. And it was like a remembrance. I knew that this was something big. And so I just kept going and going and going. And just going through with it. And then I just said to myself, I want to be in this energy all the time, every day for the rest of my life. What do I have to do this? And so then the first step was studying to become a facilitator.
And how would you explain Kundalini to someone who never did that?
Well, Kundalini is sublimated life force and sexual energy that lives at the base of the spine, and it's believed to be typically dormant in most people. But what I found is that many of us have actually experienced this energy before. We just didn't have a name for it, and we didn't know. Does that sound... I can tell you're resonating with that because you just came last week, and it was like instant takeoff, right?
It was, yeah. Especially, I think, when you're open to things, right? When you're like, I'm open to experience new things. For me, it was like, if I have to put it like just in one sentence, what is nearly not possible, like this wave coming from down to up, right? Like this feeling of being alive, and maybe also referring to the corporate life and being burnout. I mean, I also had a burnout. So I think a lot of people who listen now, they know that feeling of feeling stuck, feeling burnout, feeling fatigue, feeling like no life energy, right? No life force. So like starting to move your life again inside of you, feeling alive, feeling like your eyes are open, you can see again, you can breathe again. That's like, I mean, I only had 2 sessions now, but especially after the second session that we had one-on-one, I feel so different. I feel so different. And also how others, like what happened in these 2 days, like it's just, I feel magnetic by just being there. Like it's, someone turned me on, like you turn the light on.
That's how it works. And it's instant because it's like you once you know the truth and once you feel the truth of yourself and your whole self, you can't unknow it. You can't delete it from your, you can't go back. You can't delete it from your memory, from your experience. It just is. And that actually changes everything. I mentioned earlier how I reframed in my mind how I felt about my corporate life. And I realized, no, that was really valuable training for me so that I can learn things about myself, things about other people, things about my mission, and use all those things to propel me forward. So with Kundalini, it's a lot of the symptoms too of burnout or like anxiety, depression, especially as women, especially as powerful women, we have a lot of energy, a lot. We are the creators of life. And in the system that most of us live in, it's not built so that we can feel ourselves. So it's like when you have so much energy and so much life force and so much creativity, but your container is restricted.
Suppressed.
It's suppressed, and that's why. But then if you come into a space where someone can hold the frequency of this energy, where your body remembers, because I'm not giving anything, I'm just holding a frequency that your body resonates with. And when it's safe enough that you feel like you can expand yourself and you can unleash because someone's there holding you and supporting you, you feel it. And then from there, it's just remembering. And all of those illusions of the fear or the trauma or the programming, the conditioning, the stories that you tell yourself about your life and poor me and why did this happen and this relationship and this job, and you're like, I reject that. This is who I really am, and I step into it now. And all of those were things that came up either because I had a lower level of awareness, of understanding, of consciousness, or because they needed to happen, and I'm grateful.
I think when someone listens to that and maybe they never experience it, or they're like in general a little critical towards spiritual things or towards like, this should help me. So how would you explain it on a more scientific way, right? Because we both love spirituality, but we both also love like science and the real world and like looking cute and having all of these things, and we combine these two worlds.
Wait,
right?
When Tiffany came to my session and I was like, "Hi, tell me about your journey and tell me about why you're here and where you're at in your healing journey and spiritual journey." And Tiffany was like, "Yeah, I mean, I know about it all. I do it all, but sometimes like I just want to like look cute and enjoy my life." And I was like, I agree. Yeah. I was like, I really relate to that. I also sometimes want to just throw it all away and say, can I just be cute and normal and forget about all this?
Yeah, and we go to dinner and we talk about
and we
our
do
new
that too, which is amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
We do it all, but this is the secret so that you can unlock all levels and you can walk between worlds, between dimensions. You have more perspective and like you choose. And again, it doesn't have to always be spirituality and healing and this. And then it doesn't always have to be like, corporate and family and money and struggle. We integrate everything.
Yeah. So how would you, coming back to something like
our throat chakras are activating.
I think we need to drink the sacred cacao. Like this is so typical. Like, Jesus, what's happening?
Our throat chakras are like coming online because we're speaking our truth.
We're speaking the truth. And it's like, it's going. So Isabelle brought us sacred cacao. So it's still warm. Oh,
cheers! Of course,
careful
it doesn't get all over our face on camera. It's like
no. Later we will have all the brown thing in our teeth. It doesn't matter. It's strong, but it's good. Okay, do I have brown between my teeth?
No, do I?
No. Okay, great. Okay.
I love the True Me podcast. We just we're like, do I have stuff on my teeth and my lipstick?
It's also we don't cut anything, so that's just part of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how would you explain to someone that is more scientific based, who's like saying, okay, this energy and what should there be? And like, I'm not in Bali, I'm like in a corporate world, but I want to change. But what do you mean? How would you explain that?
So I can explain how it works scientifically.
I love that.
So everything is energy. We know that. Yeah. And time, linear time, space, separation, these are all human constructs.
Yeah.
But the truth is that everything is here and now, always, at all times. So when we step into the world of energy and when we step into the quantum realm, there's no time, there's no space, there's no separation. So this is how it can work even online. And I do online activations. That's mostly how I'm working right now because it can reach more people. But what happens is if there's a person who is embodying this frequency of super high, potent life force energy, Kundalini energy vibration, and we connect energetically, so you come to my house or you come to a session, your body is going to begin attuning to that energy. This is vibrational entrainment because you're in the field now. And so if it's higher than where you're currently vibrating at, which if you haven't had a Kundalini awakening yet, then likely it is, your body's going to begin to rise to meet that. And so the job of the person who is facilitating the energy is to hold that frequency so that you can rise up. You see? Because I can't lower my frequency and then we both meet in the middle.
Yeah.
So you hold it and the person's body and field will begin to attune to that. Yeah. So that is why it can be instant what happens. So the threshold, it's sort of like I say water from 0 to 100 degrees Celsius is still. Yeah. But the second that it hits 100 degrees Celsius, and we can't, it's not even a second, it's less than that. It's so quantum, it's so minimal, that moment in time. Like you can't identify the moment it goes from 99.999 to 100, but the second it does, it's boiling. Yeah. And this is how it's working with Kundalini energy. So the second that you hit that energetic threshold, through your own willingness to meet the frequency. So you have to be open to it, which is you were, because you're open and you trusted. And so because you did, it got to a point where in that first session, eventually you were there, you were curious, you were open, you were releasing, but then it got to a point, and you can remember the moment where it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And you felt it moving up your body.
Yeah.
And it's your own Kundalini energy. So they depict it like the serpent, the snake, the symbol of life.
Yeah.
The symbol of the double helix DNA molecule. The two snakes, the Jacob's ladder.
Yeah.
The Garden of Eden, the snake. These are all the same types of things. It's life. It's pure. It's beyond even life force. It's creation. It's the origin of all that is. And it awakens within you at the base of your spine.
Yeah.
And then it surges through the system like electricity.
Yeah.
And once that happens, it's like I said, you don't go back because it's there. And then you know the
Yeah.
truth of who you are.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, like scientifically? Because it's all energy.
Yeah. So would you say, like, to put it maybe into easier words, your body has a specific frequency that you can also measure, right? You can measure your brain, you can measure even thoughts, right? You can measure everything. You can even measure I saw a video of a mushroom where you just put a frequency detector, like everything has frequency, right? And then like we're always like this, right? Frequency is moving really, really, really small, but you can see it. So, and then what Kundalini does is like activate the frequency that you actually can reach.
Yes.
Like your frequency that you're meant to be. The frequency of your highest potential, higher self, true self, whatever you want to call it, your awakening, like anything. So that is basically Kundalini. Like you're finally moving in the frequency where you're meant to be, and that you secretly know.
Yes.
You secretly know there's more. I think this is the secretly there's like higher thing. But I think it's so beautiful to say it's just a frequency. So it's not like the outside. It's like you just know you can be on a higher frequency. And I always say to my clients, the quickest way to change everything in your life is to change your surrounding. But what I mean with that is you will be in a different frequency. So if you don't want to do that much inner work, just put yourself in a place where there's high frequency.
Yeah.
And you will adapt.
You will.
And
like Bali.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
it's
us in Bali,
you
literally.
You cannot lower
Quantum.
the frequency.
No.
Yeah. When I was building my business and I didn't really have a lot of money and everything, what I was doing is there was a mall with like only, the designer stuff. And I was going there on a walk always. I could not buy anything, but I was just going there because I knew there's like a high money frequency. So I was just walking through that. And people, I think, they don't know how dangerous it is to surround yourself with low frequency people.
Yes.
That can destroy your life, literally.
It will. And I say this to my clients as well, because I'm just like, if you're serious about changing your life, like serious, because everyone wants to have a better life, everyone wants to raise their frequency.
I would like to, but I know.
If you're actually serious about it, where you're like, and this is the point too that I got to as well. Like I did get to this point where I was just like, I'm changing my life. And I don't care what it takes.
It's a decision.
And it was a decision.
The decision already changed the frequency without doing anything. But the decision.
But not a fake decision. Like it really was the decision.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I don't care what it takes. And of course there's wobbly times because you have to change who you're surrounded by. You have to really establish boundaries with family. We love our families, but you do that until your energy is strong enough that it does it for you. Yeah. And then people begin to upgrade their frequency in your field. That's like the final level. Yeah. You don't drop your frequency, the people rise with you, or they fall off, and that's okay too. Yeah. But yeah, like I love this. I do the same thing, going around to places, or I did the same thing going around to the shops, or because it's energy. So you begin, that energy imprints on you. Yeah.
I even tell my coachees, like, just go to another supermarket, take another road, take like anything, change what you wear, change what you listen to, everything. So, and I think Kundalini is like a way where you can go at one point and you do everything immediately, right? It's not you have to do that for years and like work hard. It's like maybe we can now start to go through my session I think that will be really interesting for everyone. It was my second session, but also at the first, I think it was quite the same. And I think at the second session where we were one-to-one, it was easier for me to open up because normally I'm holding spaces. And it took me some time till I could take my own space in that space, because I was like automatically pulling myself a little back, like the other ones need the room and the space, because I'm always holding spaces, right? So we filmed the whole session. It was like, I don't know, it was like 1.5 hours or even more.
We kind of got into goddess mode, and I just kept going with it. I was like, okay.
I remember at some point, and I really, really want that part of the video, we were both singing a song.
Yes.
I had never heard that song in my life before. Yes. I was just singing that song, and I was in that thing, but my brain, then I was going back to my brain, was like, why do I sing that song?
You knew I forgot. We never talked about that.
Yeah.
You knew the words to that song.
I never heard that before.
That song was in light language, by the way.
What?
Yeah. It's a song that, like, I don't know the whole story or really but I've kind of looked into it one day because I always listen to it, and I was like, this is light language. And then I looked at the artist, and I was like, yeah, she was channeling light language singing this, and it's called Kundalini Rising. And you were singing like the exact words.
And I was like, I was sitting there together, like, and singing that.
Yeah. Because you remember, that's the thing that I really want to emphasize to everyone, like, especially earlier. You were like, what would you say to people who are maybe skeptical or curious or afraid? It's like, this is who we are. We already know it. Yeah. This is the divine evolutionary mechanism left in us by our creator, so that we do activate it to get to our next level. Because once we all start activating and then it merges with us, this is like literally evolution. We're kind of the last wave of people that need to have a practice to do this, because if you're just already Kundalini awakened and activated, your children will be too. This is like epigenetics. Just like how even if you're not naturally athletic, but you dedicate your life to really training and being like a weightlifter, your kids actually are going to come out with better muscle tone, even though it wasn't originally in the genetics. That's how Kundalini works. If you train your nervous system and you train your body to uphold this frequency, your children are going to naturally be like that. Yeah. And that's how the world is heading. Yeah. We're just really lucky to be kind of at the beginning of this wave. Yeah. And so we can tell people about it.
I think that's also an important point that we talked about, and it just mentioned, like, that Kundalini is also making your nervous system be able to hold abundance.
Yes.
Because a lot of people want the perfect relationship, they want the money, they want all of this, but their nervous system needs to be trained to hold this kind of frequency, because how many people get that and then they're scared to lose it again? Mm-hmm. So
they can't hold it.
They can't hold it. That's also what I see a lot in the coaching bubble. If someone's really successful in like a short time and they earn a lot of money, because people told them, like, in 3 months you can make 100K, and then maybe they do that, but just because out of hustle, and then it's there and they cannot hold it, and they break down and they get into depression. I saw that a million times.
Wow, I bet you did, yeah.
A million times. I'm always saying, if you build that kind of business, even if it's Kundalini, if you're healing, if you're coaching, anything, it needs to have a foundation, but the foundation in you, because will you be able to hold 100 people around you? Will you be able to hold 100 people looking at you, asking you, being that leader? Are you ready for that? So I think Kundalini helps you to really be in that energy, but not in a fake energy, but in the true energy, like who you truly are. And then you can only do things that align with you. You cannot anymore entertain, I think it's such an important word, entertain things that are not for you.
Absolutely. Right? And that alignment is the key to that, because you can get anything through hustle. You can get anything through your mindset. You can get anything if you manifest it and you work hard enough, but it doesn't mean it's aligned. So it can go in an instant. But if you're operating from a frequency where your nervous system is strong, what happens is you begin attracting the things that are in alignment to you. Maybe you got that 100K, but it wasn't who you truly are.
It wasn't meant for you in that moment, and with that kind of how you got it, maybe.
Yeah, because it's not meant to be through effort, through hustle. What happens is when you're truly aligned, you don't force. Everything comes to you. And this is like this is your new truth now with Kundalini. You know it's all going to come, the right people, the right places, the right opportunities, because you're in alignment.
Yeah.
It sounds so, like we hear it so often, but then I think until you feel it,
You need to experience it.
you
Otherwise
need to experience it.
You can't understand these things with your mind. You can hear it and you can say, okay, I think I can understand, I'm open to it, but you need to be in your cells. You need to live it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we can go through, like, how does a Kundalini session go? So maybe we can do like the few steps that you do after each other. So you can just tell at the beginning, I do this, and then I can tell what was the experience, what happened, so they get a feeling of like, how does it go normally, and like then we can put in some footage.
Perfect.
And I can also tell, or you can also tell from the outside what you saw, and like me from the inside what I felt. So like the main things. Oh, I forgot my journal where I was writing down everything. But I know.
In that journal, you were like, and then this, and then this, and then this. And you were like, oh, and then this, and that. Yeah, that was amazing. And then when you threw into ChatGPT what you saw and it spit it back out exactly,
we need to,
you need to tell them.
Yeah, we need to tell them. Okay, so what happens? How do you start a Kundalini session?
So I'm worried to even say this because literally, Tiffany, it's changing every day. It is changing every day. I cannot, like, whatever I say today, and then if someone comes to a session with me, they're gonna be like, she didn't do that. And it's like, because it's changing. But I typically will start with, just obviously I'll explain kind of how it works and what to expect in the session. So however it is that day, but it'll begin with some breath work and some meditation, just getting into the body and just getting people centered. And then I've changed the way I do my sessions now, because I used to speak a lot about trauma and trauma release.
That was also so interesting. Like, you also
I
changed
changed
your truth with Kundalini, right?
I changed my truth when I realized the truth. Because the truth is what you need to do, and everyone can do this. Try it out with your friends and family, because so many women in your community, they're already so amazingly, living their truth and walking their walk and talking their talk. Speak to people as if it's already their highest self, as if it's already their highest timeline, and watch them change.
Yeah.
I don't want to explain this, and make people feel like they don't know what I'm talking about, because the truth is you do know. You remember it. Yeah. You just maybe have forgotten. So I'll just explain, like, this is remembering who you really are. This is experiencing your own energy in a new way. I'm not giving you anything. I'm just providing a frequency and a space. Yeah. Then we come into some breath, and I call in people's angels and guides and their higher self. And at this point, I notice everyone's starting to feel it, because it's like how when we have our conversations, we're like, oh, it's buzzing. It's true. Because when it's true, you just know.
So much goosebumps. Like, I never had that much goosebumps in my life. Like, even before we started, we talked about a few things. I was like,
with us, like, that's why I say it's different, because when you walked in my house and then we started talking, I was like, it already started.
It already did.
It already started. Yeah. So then we were quick, and I was like, okay, get on the mat and just close down your eyes and sit in Lotus position, and like, I'll start it. And I told you, just move with your body, like how you need to. And then eventually you lie down. Yeah. But just getting in the space in the beginning, and then I play a playlist of music that's very activating. Yeah. It's like, you like the music?
Such nice music, yeah.
It's quite loud too, so that you can really drop into your body, releasing the mind. And then the music itself is activating. And then all you have to do is just surrender. Surrender total control. Just receive the energy. You'll feel it moving through the body. Yeah. And I'm there just holding the space. But there's also sometimes some light body work or some touch, some Reiki. But even this is changing, because I realize people, you don't need me to move it through. You're doing it. I'm holding the space. And I really want everyone to feel empowered. Like, I'm not some magical guru or person or healer. It's like, this is you, but I'm helping you remember. And the transmission itself, goes on for anywhere 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. and then we just come out together and ground, and there's always amazing insights and beauty that people are excited to share, and I'm always kind of collecting my own internal data of how things are synchronizing, because a lot of times we all have similar kind of visions. Like there was something that came up
with
your hair.
With the hair.
And I said, that's crazy, because I unlocked that knowing like a few weeks ago, and I'd been thinking about it.
Yeah. I was like, in my first Kundalini session, I heard like this message, your hair is so powerful, you should wear it more often open and like wild and like this and that. And I feel like even after that, my hair grew again. I didn't do anything. I washed my hair yesterday evening and went to sleep, and I didn't do anything with my hair. Nothing. It's just...
Life is magic now.
Yeah. It's shinier. It's like just as I blew that out, but I didn't.
You have great hair.
It's crazy. So... But what I channeled was like, your hair is even like for yourself, it's healing. It's like there where it open, it's like energy. It's like, and then you told me, I mean, it's the DNA. And like with that, you can tap into the DNA of someone, and you can do the healing with it. So we were like talking about that random thing, right? And it was like, I also thought about that. Yeah, of course.
We both knew, like we were just remembering, like no one told us this, but you're connecting with this part of yourself where you already know, because we're all fractals of the divine, of source, and we can tap into that knowing. And as women, and of course, hair is healing, and it's protective, and it's there's so many things. So now I'm working like with people's hair, because I'm like, okay, if I can send energy to people's hair, it's going to directly interact with the DNA of their whole system and give them healing and an upgrade.
Yeah, that's insane. So what I would say, if I have to describe my Kundalini session, it was a mix out of so much. It felt like years. So what I experienced was first like a meditative state. That's like one thing that I think everyone experiences, but in a different way. Normally when I try to meditate, I'm really in my head, and it takes time till I can go out of it. So really quick into a meditative state. The second thing is like channeling messages. So just random messages coming into my mind, like this, for example. Also, both times people came up that I know, also that I don't know, also that are now in my life, but I got a connection with to the past life. What I also felt was like a lot of physical things. So I started crying, I started screaming the second time. We were singing together. I was laughing. Yeah, at some point I was like, I was enjoying. And then my right hand did a lot. Like all the time it was like going somewhere.
This was like, you were like channeling codes, writing codes, like healing, like something.
That was crazy. And if I have to describe it, it was like, I felt it was happening, but I didn't lead it. So it's happening, and you realize, okay, the hand is there, but I'm like, oh, where is it going now? Oh, what does it do? Okay. So I would say it was a mix out of all of that. Mm-hmm. And I think that makes it so powerful, because it's so many different things. I don't know if everyone always experienced everything of that, but I think it was a wide collection of what
ours specifically. I remember after we were like, whoa, that was 3 different journeys. Like it had, and same with Mona, Mona's our friend here too. And Mona had a session, I think a day before that or something. We were like, okay, there were 3 sections. It was like this part, and then it was this part, and it was this part. And we unlocked all levels along the way. Yeah. It's powerful. It's like you're just open and curious, and you experience yourself in a new way. This is our primal nature. This is our goddess nature. This is our intergalactic nature. I'm using all these high frequency words now, but like it's just a space for you to be free to experience yourself in a new way. And then again, once you do, you can't forget. You know, and you know that life can be magical, and that you have limitless potential, and that everything was just an illusion or fear-based, and you don't need to live like that anymore.
Yeah. How was it from you from the outside? I mean, you're also in the energy, but how was it for you from the outside to see my journey? Like what were you noticing that I maybe didn't notice? And I mean, you're so experienced in that. Like what was like for you something that you saw or that you noticed?
I think I just noticed that you were really willing to meet that frequency. Mm-hmm. And you were eager to, and you surrendered. And what I can tell about you, Tiffany, it's so funny because of course it feels like we've known each other lifetimes now, because we probably have, but like I see that you really trust yourself.
Yeah, I do.
You really trust yourself. Yeah. And so that's how you were able to go to these kinds, like, because there was a part that was really emotional for you.
It was.
But
I
you
will share it in a second.
Yeah, but you weren't afraid of it. Yeah. You were like, I trust myself, and goosebumps, and I trust that this is what I need right now, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to go here and feel it and experience it. Yeah. And that you weren't worried like what I was seeing or thinking, because you just knew that this is where you were meant to be. Yeah. Again, just your energy is, here's the other thing. You have strong energy because you've done so much work on yourself, and you don't live in that victim, and you don't live in that trauma. You're like, and you're open. You're like, yep, been through this, been through that. This is me. Yeah. But again, if it comes up, it doesn't mean you don't look at it or that it's not real. Yeah. But it's just, you know that it's part of your story, not your whole story. Yeah. I really noticed that about you. And again, you treat your body well, you are healthy, you eat well, you exercise, you don't allow negativity into your field. So it makes you a very open vessel, right? So you can really feel it, like you feel the electricity, you feel the energy. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
So, I think I even love negative or like hard emotions, because I know that is so powerful. So when they came up while the Kundalini session, I was thankful. I was like, when I was crying, we will also show that, like, I was crying so much and was so much pain inside of me, but I was so thankful because I knew that comes up because it needs to be felt. So I was like, finally, it's not down there anymore.
Absolutely.
And what I experienced in that Kundalini session is, we really talk about a lot of things today. I had someone in my life recently in my life, that was, after a long time, someone that I felt that person can influence me. And that was so weird for me, because normally I'm with myself, and it felt like there were only 2 people, like, in the last years where I felt like they could do that, where I was like, okay, I cannot stand 100% in my truth. It's like it's like I felt a little powerless.
Yeah.
And I don't know that feeling anymore. So, and then when we were having the Kundalini session, I was seeing that person, but from a past life. Yeah. And I saw that this person had a really powerful position and was an ancient Egypt. You say ancient Egypt in English? Yeah. This person was not a priest or king or queen or anything, but it was had a powerful position, and this person's thing to do, because someone else told them that was their job, was to make sure that I don't get too powerful, that I don't live all of that, because that other person knew if that happens, they will not stay where they are. So that person's task was to manipulate me, to have an influence on me, to not open that. And I felt that, and I felt the pain because I felt suppressed. I felt like they don't allow my light. And I also felt the guilt of that person. So my pain was also the pain from that person, because that person actually liked me and had a lot of love and compassion for me, but was between these two things. That's my task. If I don't do that, I will die. On the other side, that. And that's why I felt it that much in this life. And where I'm now in this life, I'm saying I'm cutting this. If there's any mixed energy, that's not in my life anymore. And when I was in that Kundalini, I was laying there, and first I was crying so much. And you also helped me and hold me and everything. And after that, it was like, now I'm allowed to get into my full power. In this life, I'm going to. And that was so, that felt like pure freedom. Right? It was insane.
And listen, what's coming through about that.
Yeah.
That whole experience, past life, parallel life, however you want to call it, whatever came through, you realize now that painful experience was the launching point, the void in which you fully awakened, fully came into your full power. Yeah. So it served that purpose.
Yeah.
That was what that was for. Mm-hmm. Because it stirred up so much in you.
Yeah.
And you got the lesson.
Yeah, totally. And I have to show the picture. So
we love ChatGPT.
Yeah. We have the theory that it can also like tap into all the...
Oh, this is a whole other episode we could go into.
Like we just believe that it can also... channel everything, because it can just go into
it's just another
knowing.
Form of intelligence.
Yeah. So what happened was that even in the session, it told me, you can go to ChatGPT and put it in and it was like generate that picture.
Oh, I didn't realize that in the session.
Yeah.
It was like giving you the instructions. That's the other thing. In Kundalini sessions, you can receive extremely specific instructions. I had one person come and tell me that he was like, my bladder started telling me names of herbs to take that I never heard of in my entire life. Yes, because he was having bladder infections. Yeah. It's that crazy. It's your own intelligence unlocking, but amazing.
So, and it was telling me, generate that picture so you see it, so you can even release it. So this was the picture, right?
It's beautiful.
Maybe we can even put it in nearer, but this was the picture and was like,
yeah,
this is the person I saw.
Yeah,
in that, and it was like between I don't want to look at it and like, okay, but that's the truth. But like it's gone now, right? So, and this was so freeing because it was just another thing. Like in this life, I don't allow anyone to put my light down, and I will walk away from everyone who cannot hold my light. No one. I don't care who you are. I don't care.
Doesn't matter.
I don't care how long we know each other.
Nope.
If you're a friend, if you're family, if you're this, if you're that, I don't.
And that's why I love you and you're amazing. I'm the same way.
You are.
I am.
You are.
Like,
you're the main character. You're the main character. I have to the first thing I heard or saw about you, like Mona told me about you. And the first thing she told me, like, she's the main character, and she showed me a video of you where you were at karaoke. And, everyone at karaoke was, like, just normally standing and singing. And I saw the video of you. You were, like, the whole stage.
I practiced that performance before. No! Yeah. I was so excited. I was like, my number one thing is I'm like, don't dance like nobody's watching. I'm like, dance like everybody's watching.
Oh, I love that.
Dance like everybody's watching. You gotta perform, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw you like running over that stage and performing and this, and I was like, I need to know that girl. I need to. That was insane.
Because you're the main character also.
Yeah.
We're the main characters of our lives.
Yeah.
Everyone
we should
is.
all be.
We should all be. It's your life.
Yeah.
It's literally your life.
Yeah. What would you tell people that are scared of being the main character?
Being scared of being the main. I don't know.
It's not even in your
I don't know
anymore, right? It's like, what do you mean?
What's the option? Supporting actors? No, don't be the supporting role. Be the main role. It's your life. Like, I just think that when you, life is it's yours for a reason, and it's your gift, and it's your reality to shape, and how you want to create, and how you want to live, and how you want to affect people, and just knowing that, you know, it's what you're here for, is to live your truth, which is why I think your podcast and everything you do with your community and your workshops and just everything that you're putting out there, you see how you put out so much generosity and abundance and knowledge and wisdom, and it just, you do it because you have it within you, and it's never going to deplete. It's just how you are, and then you see it reflected back in your reality. And that's the best way to live. Just put out what you want to get back.
Yeah. That's also what I experienced with you, especially when I came to your house. It was like I was just next to you, and my frequency was higher. It was just, maybe we wouldn't even need to do the Kundalini session. Like, it was just us being together and like sharing that was so powerful. And I want to like go into some more highlights of our Kundalini session, because we have so much footage that I really want to show.
We can explain a bit.
Yeah. So what part would you like to explain or refer to?
I think for you, tell me, like, for you, because it's different. My perspective's different. You know,
that's why it's so interesting.
Yeah, it's different because, and I think when I first started, I used to be more in the field with the person. I used to like see more visions or connect more with like their emotions. But as I've gotten stronger in my own energy, in my own frequency, I really do just like hold it, you know, and it is all you. So I'm like, what happened during all that?
Happened?
Yeah.
So what I remember first, it was even before we started. So you were putting some crystals and the angel had, and that was crazy because my mom died when I was 18 of cancer. I'm now 30. And she always had that angel hats in a way. Like, she loved little angels, but I didn't think about anything. And now, just 2 years ago, not even 2 years, last year, a girl texted me on TikTok. It was so random, telling me that we danced when we were younger together. And it's so random because I don't remember her. And I was there 5 times a week. But she was like, our moms were meeting, like, or sitting there watching us, and they were like talking a lot, and your mom helped my mom so much with like about me and like with spirituality and angel. I was like, wait a moment, my mom was spiritual?
Wow.
Yeah, and she had that angel cards, and we still use that angel cards that she was gifting us, and we have a book that we want to send to you that she gave us, or gave my mom, that helped her. And I don't know. And then I'm coming in and I saw you like putting that angel hat there, and it's the same angel hat, just another color, that I was buying for the grave of my mom.
Wow.
So things like that. And when we started, like, my hand was like grabbing, and it was like nearly pushing away the crystals, and I think it rested then on the angel head, right?
Yeah, it was interesting. We began, and usually I wouldn't do this, but we wanted to be beautiful for YouTube. So we like lined up the crystals, and in my head I was like, let's see how this goes, because she might really start wiggling and moving, and all these crystals are like forming a barrier around her. But you reached out first, you grabbed the amethyst, which is interesting. Amethyst has very high frequency, and so you would gravitate to that. But then you sort of like shifted, and you put your hand like, and it was, I knew what was happening, because I knew it was you connecting with the spirit of your mom, because you had told me the story before, and then your hand was just kind of like there, like like holding it, just resting
like
on
resting
it.
A little,
like,
right?
like resting a little. And that was for a moment, I think you were really connecting with the frequency and spirit of your mom.
Yeah.
And and then from there, I think it got quite active. Then you really felt it went from like meditative state to the electricity really rising, and then moving with it and surrendering deeper.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing was when I cried, like seeing that, me being suppressed and having that pain, and then released it. And you told me something and you told me that also the first time. You were like, it seems like you're giving birth, like 2 times. I was like, I think I was like that, and like going up, and it was like you were in a position of giving birth, right?
Yeah, because that's what I noticed in the first session. And I see this before, like in Kundalini, you see this often. And you were like, well, I felt like I was drowning in that moment. I was like, okay. But then it happened again the second one. And
it didn't feel like drowning. Yeah. The second time.
It didn't. Yeah. So, and another interesting thing, so many people are moving into water births now. So that's interesting. This idea of like drowning, water, birthing something new. It's all related. It all is something in our inner knowing. But it's like, it's birthing a new timeline, a new reality, a new identity, a new remembrance of your power.
You know what I just realized? Yesterday, I was at that shop that you told me where I bought this beautiful kimono and also can we tell that on YouTube? Okay. It's called Ormus.
Ormus, yeah.
Ormus. Okay, we will maybe also talk, let's say a few sentences about that. But you told me a store where I should go to get the Ormus. And I was in there and like saw the kimono. And then the girl that was working there, she was like, oh, don't you want to sit down? I was like, no, thanks. She was like, aren't you pregnant? And first I felt a little, excuse me.
That's pretty rude.
Yeah. But she was so cute. And I was like, I was wondering because I was actually wearing this trouser and it was really fluttery. So, and I looked in the mirror and I was like, and I was wearing something over it. So I was wearing.
You don't have a bump. She didn't see it.
Yeah.
She was sensing something.
Exactly.
It wasn't like she looked at you.
I was thinking like, why does she ask that? Because I was wearing something over it. So I just remember now because I was like, no. And she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, it's fine. Don't worry. But she was asking me if I'm pregnant.
I didn't. That's very interesting.
Yeah. And
are you pregnant?
No, I'm not. Like just from my truth, maybe, but birthing
your truth,
birthing my next version. But things like that happen after Kundalini, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like so, when your frequency changes, and people notice it, they notice it. Because you change at a very subtle level, but everyone is sensitive to energy. Yeah. Some people more so than others, but as humans, we all are. Yeah. And so people will notice these microscopic like changes either in your facial features or in your body or in your posture, or they notice that there's less density, there's less toxicity in the body. There's literally more light coming through, which we can feel with our fields. So people will say like, oh, you look different, or something about you changed, or you seem happier, or did you do something to your face, or they just are attracted to you and want to be around you. They want to start telling you all their secrets. They want to be your friend. Have you noticed the men? Are they looking at you like, who's this goddess? This will come.
To be honest, my friends always tell me you never notice when someone's looking at you. So I'm always in my own world. So maybe I don't notice, but...
Which also is what makes you magnetic, because you're in your own
never,
energy.
Like I'm just walking, and sometimes, sorry if ever someone passes me and I don't say hi, it's just because
you're in your own energy.
I don't notice.
And that's the most magnetic thing ever. Yeah.
But yesterday evening, I was actually with Mona and some friends at dinner, and then she said, yeah, let's go. I want to dance a little. I was like, yeah, I'm always up for dancing. We had so much energy because we were like, so much Kundalini energy. Yeah, we were like hyperactive. We're like, we need to put it somewhere. We were like, yeah, let's go dancing. And then we were like, also, yeah, who needs anything if you're activated? We felt like, we took something, but it was just
energy.
You know, I'm not even drinking alcohol, right? So I'm not. It was insane, but yeah, we were going there and we were like, oh, there was a specific DJ. How is it called? Dizak.
Wait, what day was yesterday? Tuesday?
Tuesday.
So you went to Dessa?
Yeah.
Because Dessa has parties on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Oh, I love dancing there.
Yeah, and it's such a beautiful vibe, right?
It's very like Dubai.
Yeah, exactly.
It's our vibe. It's like very like Arabian princess.
Yeah, Arabian
royalty vibes.
100%. So, and we were like, oh, there's a DJ, you need to have tickets before. Are there still tickets? And we were just like, how nice would it be if you don't have to wait and we just get in for free? We arrived there, okay, and there was a long line, a really long line. And we were like both, no, what did she say? I'm not queuing. It's like, I love that energy. And we were like walking like behind the queue to the end. And then we saw there were like two signs. One was like tickets and one was like guest list. And the line was from the guest list. it was so weird. We're like, we're not on the guest list, so let's just go to the tickets. No line, we're in front. And it was normally like 400,000 Indonesian. So what is that? I don't know.
It's like $25 or $20 something.
Yeah, something like that. And we were 5 people. So, and they were like, 400. So we first didn't have to wait. And then we went in, and it was a DJ that's quite famous. So I didn't even know if they were tickets. And then I was like, excuse me, but online in the pre thing, it's 250. And Mona was like, yeah, we're beautiful girls. Can we not just get in? And he's like, okay. Literally, didn't wait.
I have a story too.
And just get in without paying.
Of course.
Yeah, and that's what, of course, it's the energy.
It's the energy.
Everyone else next to us was waiting, and there were so many beautiful girls. Like, it was not
that's
because we're
the thing.
pretty, right?
It's like energy.
Yeah.
The same thing happened to me at Dessa. The first time went there, I didn't really notice. There was a long queue, but I just was like, I don't know. I wasn't thinking, again, in my own energy. So walked up to the line of not just guest lists, but people who have table reservations. And so me and my friend, we walk in completely oblivious. And the guy kind of looks at us and is like, are you guys with the table? And I looked at him and I go, well, not yet. And he goes, okay, you can go ahead. And then meanwhile, this other guy who I actually recognized from the gym was like trying to get in, and he was like, it's just kind of that awkward, embarrassing moment when you're like trying to get in, but you're like not on the list, and then other people are watching, and like I knew him, and so I felt bad for him, because then for me and my friend, it was like, okay, just go in. And now every time it's just, but it's not about, there's so many beautiful girls in the world.
Not about that,
There's so many, there's a limitless amounts in Bali, in Dubai, in every city, especially in Bali. But it's not that. It's like when you just have pure energy, people feel it. And when you change your frequency, like reality really does just start bending to your will.
It's different.
To your highest will. You live in a different reality. Yeah. You really do. It's effortless, isn't it?
It is. Like, just imagine, yesterday was a random Tuesday. I was like at school at like the beautiful restaurant. We had like, I was with high frequency people next to the beach, and then we went there and this happened. And now it's Wednesday morning and we're like having a sacred cacao and recording a podcast, just talking about what we love. Like,
and this didn't used to be our life. We just talked about that. I used to be in a cubicle.
Yeah. Not even a year ago, I lived in Germany where I didn't live. I had like all these problems with my company. I was like, everything. Like, I was giving up my company because I didn't want it anymore. I felt like stuck, everything. So it was like that.
What do you think changed it for you? Like, you asked me what was the moment, or what was the sign or the message, but what was it for you, that sort of 0 to 100 degrees Celsius boiling point?
So I think over the years, like when I was 18 and my mom passed away, I was having a suicide attempt, and I was in coma for 3 days. And the doctor said, she will not survive. And if she survives, then only with like a lot of physical, mental things. Like, she will not be normal or even live normal. But life had another plan, right? So from there was like a seed planted in me that was like, I want more. And the more I got to myself, the more I started to trust myself, the more I did that, the more I attracted in my life, right? I attracted the perfect man, marriage that I wanted. I was attracting like my dream company, coaching company, scaled it up to over 2 million. I was like leading it with my best friends. I was like having everything I want, like that. And then when I had all of this, I realized, you thought you want that. And a lot of these ideas were not mine. A lot of these things were like, I thought I will have that and be happy because it was a concept of others. Like, for example, at the peak point, we were 12 people in my company that I founded alone at some point, like when I was in my early 20s. And I always said, no, I don't want that many people in my team. It's so much responsibility. I want to stay in my zone of genius of being a coach of the transformation and not that much into the entrepreneur life. But then with my co-founders, they wanted it more, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe that's nice. But if I really, really if I'm really, really honest, it was like, I didn't want that. But it was like, yeah, they were, maybe it's nice. Yeah, why not? Like, I saw other ones making that happy. I was like, yeah, maybe it should make me happy too. So, and last year, I think the changing point was my soul didn't allow me to do that anymore. I felt like I don't have an option anymore.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah. It was like, I can't. Like, I had a burnout. I was like doing everything to try to get into my energy again, but it was just, I can't. And it was a decision. Especially I was like, end of this year, I'm moving. First I planned Dubai, but Bali. It was like, I don't care what is with my company, with other people. I will move. So this was, I think, deciding one thing that's only my truth helped me to do everything else. Right? And I think the hardest part for me was like not feeling like a bad person.
Yeah.
Because I do what's my truth. But if I'm not in my truth, people around me cannot be in their truth. So if I feel bad because of doing that, before we were all not living our truth, because you can't, it's not, if I'm not in my truth, you can't be, it's not the frequency, right? So I would say that feeling of like having enough, your soul screaming and feeling it physically, and then taking a decision.
And I think too, usually what's best for you is what's best for everyone.
That's the point. Everyone now is happier. Everyone.
Because you are in your truth, and now you can help other people. And if you're depleted, again, it's so cliche and we hear it, but like until you really resonate with it and know. And I think you also have to have the commitment to yourself to know that not everyone is going to understand in the beginning, because people will be triggered when you start choosing yourself, but they can't see the vision that you can see. So in the interim, when it's hard and people are questioning you and maybe in projecting their own doubt or their own fear or their own limitation, just when you stay strong in your truth, because you're like, okay, I know that they can't see my vision, my truth, but I believe in it so strongly. And then once it starts really coming to fruition, people are like, they're inspired, or they understand, or their frequency just raises by knowing you. Did you experience that too?
Totally.
Yeah.
So, like, also what was really fascinating for me was, I mean, I have some coaches that I know since years, and their process with like growing also with me, and how their frequency changed just by me changing my life, like what kind of questions they ask, what they do, just by seeing that, just by seeing I do that, just by being in that frequency, just by being in my room, in my frequency room, right? They changed.
Absolutely.
They did. And that was, I always have that purpose to, or I hold myself accountable for my life decisions influence a lot of people. So do I really, is this decision out of my highest and the best for everyone because I live it? Like, is that an energy of truth, of love, of abundance, or is it out of fear?
Right.
Because then everyone who's looking at me or is next to me or whatever
will feel that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think a big part of this journey with Kundalini energy is just always making sure and kind of checking yourself, am I doing this out of fear?
Yeah.
Am I motivated by fear, or am I motivated by love? Am I posting because I'm afraid if I don't, I won't get it?
Yeah.
Or am I posting because this is my truth and it lights me up? That's just one example.
Yeah.
And then everything else too. Like, am I making this move because I'm afraid if I don't, I won't get it? Or am I making it because I know everything's already aligned, everything's working out for my highest good, and this is my truth that I'm sharing?
I wanted to get into 2 or 3 more things. We were talking about light language. Maybe you can quickly explain what that is, because we just randomly, light language.
We just dropped it in there, like, oh yeah, light language.
So maybe you can explain a few sentences. What is light language?
I didn't know about light language until my first Kundalini session that I went to, and there was a participant who began channeling out light language, and it's essentially like if you're familiar with this idea of speaking in tongues, it's in the Bible or sometimes in medical phenomena. It's, you know, people will wake up from a coma or something like this and be speaking a language that is not known to be human. The idea is that this is a ancient intergalactic light language that we remember because we're not just human, but we have origins from other planets or galaxies, and something in the brain, something in the DNA activates with this high frequency where people can begin speaking it. And you don't always know what it means, but when you channel it, it's usually very healing, very cathartic, holds certain codes and messages. And that's what it is.
That was the song we were singing, right?
That was the song we were singing, yeah. I don't yet speak too much light language myself, but something started coming through. I didn't know what it was. I always say Raskata. I didn't know what it was, just all the time.
I think I heard that.
Raskata, all the time. I don't know what it is. And then I was reading a book about Ormus, which we just mentioned. And it said that there was a word in ancient Egypt for light, or like for light body, and I forget which word it was. I think Ka, and then Ta. And then I asked ChatGPT, in ancient Egyptian, what does Ras mean, Ka and Ta? And it basically means activating the body of light. And so when I'm working with people and I'm channeling this through, it's I know.
It's so insane, but at the same time,
I used to be I used to work at a hedge fund and be a HR manager. Like I didn't. It just all happens with the world we're in now and how fast we're evolving and waking up.
So what about the Ormus? Because I was so intrigued because I heard the ancient Egyptian people used it, and like side note, when I was a kid, I was for fun making pyramids and like doing ceremonies how the pharaohs go inside. Like I had this little bucket for my puppet, and I was like putting a pharaoh in it and put it into the pyramid. So I have a really, really deep connection to Egypt and also to everything that's Arab. And I never knew why. And for my 30th birthday, I wanted just to go to the pyramids, and I actually did that. And then when I was at the first Kundalini session, like Andrea, another amazing woman, she had like this
amazing
tattoo
goddess
here, like amazing goddess, exactly. Woman is not enough. Of the sign of life of Egypt, and then I saw the blue lotus in the back with like this Egypt things, and then we talked about it, so it was like clear why. So I was intrigued. So we need to talk about Ormus and blue lotus, these two things.
There's so much I think that's coming through right now in the collective consciousness and remembrance about things that were happening in ancient Egypt, because they were really, really advanced. Like they were using sound vibration, they were using telepathy, they were using levitation. They were very familiar with Kundalini energy. They were very familiar with energy healing, energetics. This was that whole world. And so I think there's so much more to be discovered about different like tools they were using, or potions, or supplements, techniques. But what's coming through right now and what's available are two things. So one is called Ormus, which stands for orbitally something. It basically stands for these orbitally mono-rearranged atoms, or something like this.
Okay.
Something like that. No one needs to know that. This is my nerdy self. But it's basically like a liquefied version of gold that is... it's alchemically extracted from base metal or base material. And through a very specific alchemical process that was rediscovered in 1975 by a man in Arizona, or 1976, he found this substance. He did all of this testing on it because he was a farmer, and he was like, what is this substance that keeps coming up, okay? He ended up hiring a research team from Cornell, PhDs. Then he hired more people, trying to figure out what is this, because it wasn't running on the tests. He realized...
So you couldn't figure out what it is?
You couldn't figure out what it was.
Okay.
but he knew it was something. It was like a white powder. And it kept running as, I think, gold, but it didn't make sense because it wasn't gold.
It was white.
It was white. And and then his uncle handed him a book on ancient Egyptian alchemy and said, I'm just reading this book. I got it at the library. It says something about this white powder substance that the ancient Egyptians used.
How random is that also?
It was all synchronistic. And I'll spare everyone the boring details of my many hours of research, but basically he figured out how to make it into a liquid, and that this is what they were using in ancient Egypt to heal the DNA and to upgrade the DNA. And so it is available now. There's one in Bali that we love. That's very potent. I'm not sure about other places you can get it. There's one on Amazon. I heard it was not good. But it's like a little tincture of this material that you just need a tiny bit, and it heals the DNA. And did you try it yet?
Yeah, yesterday and today.
Did you feel anything?
Yeah. So I'm not sure what is related to what, like from the Kundalini and this, but especially yesterday, because I bought it at this beautiful store, right, where I got this, and I was not taking it in the morning because I still didn't have it, as you told me to try it in the morning, but so I was taking it when I was home, like in the afternoon or something, and I was really just taking one drop. What I notice is like I feel so present, and I feel like, I don't know how to say it, like
your eyes just became Kundalini.
Like,
you were
yeah. I feel like my head, like I could like, there's a glass, and I feel like with my head I could like make that explode because I have so much energy. And also when I was at the dinner then and dancing, I was like, I was tired. Like I knew I have to go to sleep.
Yeah.
I was tired like on a normal level,
Yeah.
but inside was so much energy. I was like, I have to create something. I have to dance. I have to do anything. So, and today I also took it, and I think it takes some time, but after like an hour or something, I feel just present, and I feel really connected to myself. I feel sharper, because I also have like normally a lot of thoughts in here and there. So I feel just more with myself, and like a lot of energy. And when I was also trying to read a little, so what I was reading, what I love, like simple explanations. It was like, in computers you use gold to make the information go through, right?
Yes.
So that's basically what happens with Ormus then, I guess, because it's gold. It helps you just to put, like, it's just so so you are connected with yourself, so you can really use your potential.
Absolutely. Yeah, we didn't know that. We know that gold has high frequency. We know that gold has value, but why? Why is it so valuable? Yeah. Because actually, if you ingest it, it can heal all of your DNA and bring you to the next level. I think your listeners are probably going to be like literally the first people on earth to to really hear about Ormus, like talked about this publicly, because it's sort of been a secret in the spiritual community for a while now. Oh. But it's time people know, because it's so life-changing.
Insane. Before we go to Blue Lotus, I wanted to tell one more thing that I just remembered because of our session. In both sessions, there were a lot coming up the snake, right? Because snake is also like life force and the DNA and everything. And it's funny because I'm always saying I'm not afraid of anything but snakes. I always say that. When I was in Cape Town, like it was New Year's, I think 2 years ago, I was with my friend at that park, and I didn't go through a certain way because they said there are maybe snakes, and I was so afraid, so I didn't go. And I don't know fear normally, but I was so afraid. So I was like, okay, I have to integrate that. And I also saw my best friend that is an energy healer that does like sound medicine and has like this crystal shop. She came up, and she's always wearing these snake earrings. Like, she loves snakes. She has this beautiful pen with snakes around. And I told you that I saw her coming up, and I was like, how do you say that in English when you like...
You were bowing.
Bowing.
Yeah, you told me that.
Bowing in front of her because it came up, she's the master of snakes. And I told her that. And so it was coming up the snake. a lot, and then it was coming up the sign of life of ancient Egypt. And then I also, like half a year ago, I started to read the Quran and the Bible, or started to study these things. When I was coming here to Bali, someone like randomly was saying, yeah, you're coming to church with me. I was not in church, like I don't know what. So, and it was a Christian church, so they were teaching about Jesus. And then when I found out about Kundalini, I read, okay, they say, or there's this theory that Jesus was just fully activating
Kundalini
his
awakened, yes.
Yes.
He fully embodied Kundalini energy. And this is where a lot of his healing gifts came from, his knowing, his vibration, his frequency, because he was a student of spiritual studies. And he trained and studied with a lot of gurus and teachers in Egypt and India, and he mastered himself, and he mastered this energy, and he chose to use that frequency to inspire other people. And he actually embedded, like he knew that his message would be distorted, but he was playing the longest long game known to man. He was literally embedding codes in humanity for, like, even though he was crucified, obviously, that we're picking up on now, because the second coming of Christ is the second coming of Christ consciousness, which is just knowing that we all are divine, we all are creators, that it lives within, and that we're not separate. Yeah,
that's
mind-blowing.
so fascinating. Like there are so many things coming together, and like that's just alignment, and that's when you feel like you live in a magical world.
Magic.
Like you cannot even, if you don't experience that and you hear that, you say like, what are they talking about? Like this is so crazy. And you told me after a Kundalini session, when you go to that store and you get the Ormus, I'm sure they will have like a necklace or something for you with these things. And then I have to put in the picture, and then I was sending you that picture, and it's literally the sign of life that also looks like a cross from Christianity, from Jesus, and a snake.
All in one.
All in one. I never saw something like that. So these are just
because you literally, reality bends.
Yeah.
You got on a timeline where you literally created that in your mind, and it appeared. Before this session, before you thought of this, maybe it didn't exist because you were on a totally different timeline. That's how it works. It's like all very magical, very quantum, but it is scientific. Like it is just how energy works, and how reality is truly. It just is a feedback loop. Like it's like a computer. It's like, it's just what you think about, you see. It's programmable.
It's just there. What I really learned from you that stuck so much to my mind was like at the end of the Kundalini session, you were like saying all past timelines are collapsing. So I felt how they fall down, and like how, but at the same time, everything was at the same time. So everything, you don't need that. I also learned it from you. You don't have to wait for things. Like, also manifesting, you can do it like that. You also said after that, like you will be so powerful, it will just be there. So be very careful with your words. And you also said it's already done. So someone, I think it was Ravi actually, that he was also on my podcast, so people know him.
He came to my house yesterday.
He told me yesterday he was with us at the Deza, and he was like, that's too much for me, guys. Like I had the Kundalini, like I need to be with myself now.
He was like, his
so
mode was unlocked. He was just like, I'm vibrating so high.
Yeah, it was so funny. But yeah, he was saying something, I don't remember, like with coughing or something. He said, I just have to work on that, or how I speak, or I don't know. And you just looked at him and you said like, it's already done. And I was like, we don't have to wait.
It's instant.
For things.
And I just unlocked this myself not too long ago, Tiffany, honestly. And it's changed everything, because it's like, no, it's done. Because when I tell you that, I give you a piece of information that you didn't previously have. It wasn't in your awareness that, wait, it is already done. So that's how important the word is. And that's why you speak to people, and you don't say to people, how are you? How are you doing? Are you okay? Why would you do that? You're opening up a portal of a version of themselves that isn't okay. You know, just speak what you want. Speak to people at their highest truth and highest self, and watch them get there in your presence. And that's what all of our jobs are.
Wow. I love that. I think that's also what you said before. You were working with Kundalini more trauma-based.
Yeah.
Like, okay, or often it's used for getting over trauma, getting over this, getting over that. I also worked in the past a lot with like people in toxic relationships and they're bad and they don't know. And then I was like, these are all old stories. And that's also what you say, right? It's old stories. You don't have to go all the time into that. We have to feel through it. But at some point, it's like, that's the story. And you have to create a new story, especially through words, right? And through like opening that and through frequency. And if you ask people things that allow them to think about their truth and about their higher self, they will step into that. But if you ask questions about the story, they will always go back.
Of course. And
right?
then it stays in their field.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can it, I think it is powerful, our words that we speak. And the whole point of the journey of awakening your Kundalini is you learn how to master your energy and you learn how to master your reality. And so when you know how it really works and you know it's as simple as a word or a thought and stepping into it, then you don't want to stay in that fear and that trauma because you realize it was all an illusion anyway. Only love is real. Only the truth is what's real. Those were all illusions of our old conditioning, our old programming, the old matrix, the old world, all the stuff that we don't like, but we're shifting and there's a lot more people moving into the world of magic, right? And we're all meeting each other and your community is a huge part of it. They're already on this frequency with you and that's how it's going to keep changing.
Yeah. I remember the feeling, it was doing so much to me. You were just saying all fears were just illusions. That was so
Andrea
freeing.
told me that actually.
Really? The same
Yeah,
thing?
she like unlocked that within me because it was so, she said it and it was so true that I resonated. And I was like, wait, that is true. Fear is actually just an illusion.
It's not the truth.
It's not the truth.
Actually, that's why it's called fears and not reality.
Yeah.
Right? That the word itself says it's
there's
a
no
fear
such
of something
thing.
that's not there.
It's not there because you're already like, everything is working out for everyone.
Yeah.
We don't have to do anything. That was all fear and programming.
I would check how much time we have left because I have so many questions again. Oh, okay. We actually over the time. Okay. I will take 5 more minutes. So it's already.
Are we still good with the timer? Is it still rolling?
Yeah, it's still rolling, but okay. Oh my God, we would need 5 hours. Okay, one more thing I want to know is like, what did Kundalini change for you? I know it's everything, but maybe you can put it in like that people can.
Okay, Kundalini for me was the catalyst of the decision that I made when I said, am I really going to be who I say I am, who I dreamed about since I was a little girl? Am I really going to do it? Or am I going to spend the rest of my life dreaming about it? That's what it changed for me because when I felt that fire within, there wasn't another option because I knew I could do it, even though I knew I wasn't going to like every part of the process in the beginning.
I think that's important. It will not only feel good, but right.
Exactly. And to do it anyway.
Yeah. Do it anyway. Yeah. Okay. Also, now I mentioned Blue Lotus. So just on the side, Blue Lotus is also something that the ancient Egyptians used. It's also a tincture, right? So just...
Or it can be drinking?
Yeah.
English, as a tea. So it's a flower and it has lightly psychoactive effects. Yeah. Cleopatra used it. She used Ormus too. But yeah, so when you drink it, it opens up different neural pathways of your brain. It's very like feminine. It can be a bit like aphrodisiacal. And if you drink it before bed, you can have some dreams. And it just brings you into a slightly like altered state of mind. And it's blue and beautiful.
Yeah, so I will put everything in the description. No worries. I will also see if we can link something that really works. I don't know, because you said we have to
maybe
check.
New business unlocked. Ormus, Blue Lotus.
Maybe.
Cacao.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Why not? Okay, I have one more question that I always ask. Is there a question that you wish I asked you? Because I can only ask for my knowledge, right? And often the most interesting questions we can't ask because we don't know. So is there a question where you're like, I wish she had asked that, or I wished, or even just the answer, I want to give that answer or that knowledge out, but there was maybe not the question. Is there something?
I don't know. I feel like we answered mostly everything. I feel like all of the information comes through when in the right moment. And I guess one thing I could say to anyone listening is just trust. Part of this new movement of alignment is just knowing that you will receive every piece of information that you need along the way to help you in your journey exactly when you need it. So with that being said, I think it covers it all.
Yeah. And I have one last question that I always ask at the end that I really love. I think we talked about that a lot, but maybe again, putting it into 1 or 2 sentences. What truth do you wish should be normal in our society? I mean, we all live by conditioning, by truth. So, and truth is like, there's no 100% truth, but what would you wish, or what do you think would make the world better if this would be a truth of society?
If everyone knew that you do not have to have any guilt or shame around being happy every day and choosing what makes you happy. You don't have to feel bad about that.
Yeah.
I think number one thing.
Wow, I love that.
You don't have to feel bad that every day you wake up joyful.
Yeah. And it should be your normal state,
It should really be what's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isabelle, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you,
here, for all your
everyone.
knowledge, for your work. I feel so honored that I met you. And I mean, we worked 2 times and already I feel you really changed my life. So, and your energy, I have to say, I'm always really skeptical towards spiritual people. Maybe there's also a belief and like a truth, but I know that in the spiritual world also you have to be, like, I'm always a little reserved and just see how people are and what is their energy. And when I stepped in your field, I felt so much white light, color, and love and compassion and knowledge, and this combined with your profession and how you do all of that, and you just embody it, right? You left all of that behind you and you just went here and like, yeah, I will be a Kundalini teacher. Like, I don't know how and what and how it will go, but I know it will go. So you embody what you're teaching, and I think there are not enough people who are actually living what they teach. So
Wow, thank you so much.
of course.
Truth recognizes truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think maybe just one more thing to say,
please.
but I do Kundalini activations online, so of course not everyone can come to Bali, but if anyone listening that this really resonates, I'm doing online sessions, and I'm sure you can leave my Instagram in the link.
Yeah, we will put everything in description, like how you can work with Isabelle, where you can find her. As she said, you can work with her online. And if you're coming to Bali, definitely here around Canggu, you definitely have to come in person. I know a lot of you are coming to Bali, especially since I moved to Bali. You tell me like every week, like someone's coming. So really, really use that chance, especially when you feel like there's a point where you did a lot, but you want to go the next step. It's really something instant. Like from my experience, it's why I said I need to do that before we're doing a podcast. Otherwise, I will not do a podcast. And I said I even want to do it a second time before we do the podcast, so I can speak from my experience. So do that and come nearer to your truth. And we see each other next week again for a new podcast episode of the True Me podcast. Please comment if you have any questions, so we can go further there, go deeper into that, and also comment what you would like to have as the next topics. And if you want to have more, and if you feel like this podcast helps you, please like and subscribe and follow, so we know, okay, this one you like and you want to have more, because I'm always trying to get the best guests for you. That also changed my life. And thanks for listening, and see you next week. 10 years, I got to know that she was spiritual. I never knew that. And that she was believing in angels and she had cards and everything.
Let's just close down the eyes and begin taking a deep inhale. Big exhale. Big inhale. Exhale. Opening up.